You're listening to How to Win with Mike Moore, the podcast that provides you with practical insights on how to win in every arena of life.
Hello, I'm Mike Moore, and welcome to the How to Win podcast. These podcasts are based off 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It says, "Now thanks be unto God who always causes us to triumph." Listen, I'm so glad to have you with us. In our prior podcast, I introduced the new set. I introduced the new format of our podcast. Previously, I would stand or sit and just teach through something, but my daughter, who's with me today, she nudged me to do some different things with our podcast. So in this new format, we're going to be discussing. I pulled her from behind the camera, put her in front of the camera so we can discuss topics. I'm going to do some interviews, and then I'm going to share some thoughts that God put on my heart. It'll just be you and I talking. But I am excited about the new format. Please put in the chat. Let us know whether you're enjoying the new format. I believe it's going to be a blessing for you. Well, we have a new topic today. We're going to be talking about trusting God's plan. Trusting God's plan. We're going to be talking about timing, which is so very important. We're going to be talking about patience and faithfulness to walk out the plan. But before we get into that, in our last episode, we were talking about purpose. And remember, purpose is that reason why you're on the planet. God's reason for why you're on the planet. Purpose, as Tiffany let us know, is our calling, or purpose is our assignment. Then we're going to talk about timing. But before we talk about timing, I think we need to talk about positioning ourselves to walk out our plan. We're talking about trusting God's plan for our life. So we got two words: purpose, plan. Purpose has to do with the assignment, the calling, the why we're on the planet. But the plan of God has to do with how we walk out that. It's one thing to have a purpose, is another thing to have a plan, that how to. And I want to say just at the beginning, positioning ourselves is so very, very important. Let's say, for example, you believe your purpose is to be an entertainer, okay? And I believe God calls people to every field. It can be athletics. It could be entertainment. It could be government. It could be business. It could be ministry. I believe that once you discern the purpose, that overall assignment, I believe that positioning is so very important. Let me give you some things that I'm talking about. Let's say you're called, or you feel called to be an entertainer. Well, one of the first things you have to think about is environment. Okay, environment. So what is the best environment for me to walk out that purpose? Let's say you want to be an actor or a dancer or whatever, and we live in Birmingham, Alabama, which is a wonderful city. I love my city. It's a beautiful city, but it's not the environment if you want to fulfill your call to entertainment. Maybe New York would be a good environment. Maybe California would be a good environment. The same would be for anything. Athletics. If you feel that you gifted to be an athlete, what is the right environment? What is the environment that you need to be in? And then you need to be placed around other people who are walking out that. In other words, if you're going to New York, other dancers, you want to get around other dancers, because iron will sharpen iron. And then it's very important that you get exposure. Environment, you want to be, that has to do with the place, position. You want to be around other people who are walking out the same kind of thing that you want to walk out. Then exposure. You need to be exposed to someone who's good at it. Maybe a mentor, a dance coach, or somebody that's good in your field. And then you got to practice that thing. And then we get to time. So we're going to talk about timing.
Let's do it
today. Have you ever struggled with timing?
Yeah, I have. I think this, we've talked about some good things, but I think this is my current, not necessarily battle, but this would be my current one that I'm like navigating and walking out.
Right.
Now, and I think, because when you think about timing, again, I think about the word trust. Like, am I really trusting God?
Okay.
And so one of the definitions, I'm going to read it to you. One of the definitions is trust is the assured reliance on the character, the ability, the strength, or the truth of someone or something.
Say that again for our audience. I want to hear that again myself.
Okay, so trust is defined as the assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something.
So you're relying on the character,
ability, strength, or truth of someone or something.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I think for me, it's not that I doubt the character, but I think I doubt the ability or even his strength.
Okay.
Right.
That's good. That's being transparent.
Yeah.
That's being transparent.
And so it's like, I know he's powerful. I know he can do it. And I know by the evidence of things that happened in my life, but I sometimes struggle with trusting what he has told me or promised me because I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, timing, we're talking about the importance of timing. Timing has to do with the when question.
Yeah.
Okay. And in a previous episode, we also talked about how purpose has stages and seasons. Well, the when question, when should I do it? Tiffany talked about trusting. Well, you know, I think everybody deals with that, Tiffany. Yeah. I have a lot of experience, more experience than you have. God has brought me through a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think understanding the timing has been a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, understand the timing. And you can get into, I know I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. But sometimes what you feel called to do and what you feel is your assignment in life can seem so much bigger than you think you can do it.
Yeah. And for me, it's not even, it's purpose, because we talked about purpose. So it's I have words on that too, but it's also timing and relationship. Because if you would ask me in my 20s, would I be almost 40? I'm 39 and still single. I never would have.
Wow, you're so old. Wow. Listen, she's 39. Wow.
But you get what I'm saying? So, and then it's also the societal pressure as well. Like, I don't feel like I have pressure by anybody else, but in the back of your mind, you do have that timing aspect of, you do have a clock per se in some areas of life, especially as women. So I think it's the trusting God. Again, for me, it's that trusting God that as I'm getting older, also understanding that if I have that desire, it's from Him, right? But it's not really, you haven't seen the fulfillment in it yet, you know? So that's been kind of the thing that I feel like has been one of the things. I know that you've shared some personal experiences, and you've even said in the past that God has given you words that you haven't even, because you say you haven't really walked out all of God has called you to do, right?
Right.
So for you, what were some of the things that you struggle with God's timing, and how are you navigating the timing even in this season?
Well, I think if people, most Christians, believers, ministers, leaders, if they will be honest, I think most of us are dreamers, and we got this big dream, and so we're often struggling with how long, how long. Well, for me, really, some of it is mind renewal. Some of it is trust, the way you put it, your challenge. For me, the key for me is understanding. I have enough experience to know that God is good and God is faithful. Is understanding God. My journey was to learn God and how he does things. For example, God is not in time.
Yeah.
We're creatures of time. God, we have a past, present, and a future. Okay? So for us, we're waiting. That's not true for God. God is not waiting because God lives in eternity, one big now. And so God created time. He's not frustrated about time. He's not worried about time. He doesn't feel like time is running out. We feel that.
Right.
Okay, we feel that because we have a past, present, and a future. Well, imagine God creating time, past, present, future. He's outside of it. Imagine God can see time. He can see the past, present, and the future all at the same time.
Right.
So a big part of a purpose in his plan is, you brought out the trust. He knows how old we are.
Yeah.
He knows how much time it's going to take for us to do it. So some of it is understanding God. It's understanding that God is not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Okay. God see the whole thing.
Yeah.
God has planned the whole thing out. That'll relax us a little bit.
Yeah.
That'll relax us a little bit. But also understanding two other things.
Okay.
Understanding that God talks different.
Yeah. So in the reference of God talking different, right? So you've had words with suddenly, right? When you think of the word suddenly, and it happens, right? And I know not every experience is a suddenly experience. So how do you know? Because he's outside of time, but if you suddenly is a word to me that sounds like it's gonna happen now.
Yeah, but I don't get suddenly words.
Okay.
I mean, we preach suddenly.
Yeah, right.
But I don't get I wish I did.
Yeah.
But I don't get suddenly words.
I got you.
I don't get suddenly words. See, and you said this, something you said, it stayed with me. It stayed with me. You said, why did God give us this big old dream, let us know all this stuff, and then it's going to take all this time to complete it? Remember?
And the purpose, when we're talking about the purpose.
Talking about purpose, okay. God talks funny. I want you to get that. God talks funny. He talks the end at the beginning. He called things that be not as though they were.
Right.
Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 46:10, but it says he talks about the end from the beginning. So he gotta talk about this and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he sometimes will show you the end from the beginning, but he doesn't expect you to do it. But see, most people, talking timing, they think because God shows them this, bam, there it is. God told, I believe it, bam, there it is. It doesn't work like that.
Where do you think that originate from, though? Do you think that is from some teaching, or is it just this unexpected expectation that...
It's culture.
Yeah.
It's teaching, it's culture. And we often we have a miracle bent in the church. Yeah. Miracle bent.
Yeah, we do.
And some of that miracle bent is culture. Mm-hmm. We want everything now.
Right.
We got microwave ovens. We got drive-through lanes. Yeah. We got 24-hour delivery. Yeah. We got kiosks.
Yeah, drop your groceries off at your door.
Yeah, we got kiosks. We can call the grocery store and they bring it to us. We don't even have to go to the grocery stores.
Right.
Okay, so there's a conditioning that we get from just culture.
Yeah.
This, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But really, if we think, we talk in purpose and plan and trust in God's plans, if you really look at the scripture, the Bible, it wasn't all suddenlies.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, it wasn't suddenlies. Yeah. Okay, Moses, and some of it, we can delay it, but Moses, he 40 years old, get ahead of God, end up 40 years on the wilderness. God calls him, he 80 years old. We got Elijah, he probably followed with Elijah for 20 years. We got David, he was called and anointed as a teenager. He wasn't on the throne till years later. Yeah. We got Jesus at the age of 12. He said, I must be about my father. You remember they called little boy in the temple? See, that the parents came home and found a little boy in the temple. And he said, did you not know that I must be? He talking to his mom about my father's business. Yeah. Well, he knew it at 12. He knew something special about him at 12.
Yeah.
When did he start his ministry? 30.
Yeah.
30. 18 years later. Paul called in Acts 9. It was years later before he went off in the thing. So really, we're talking about the plan of God for our lives. We're not talking about waiting decades for your healing. Decades for your... We're not talking about that. Okay, we're talking about the plan of God. I think we mixed miracles with that, and then it causes people to be disillusioned because, okay, we need to know how God talks. We need to know where God is. He's an eternal now. Okay. But we also need to know this fact. This is so very important. Come up real close now. Come up real close. Because I want you to get this. I want you to get this. You sitting on the edge of your seat. I want you to come all the way up. God is a God of preparation.
Yeah. You can see that evident with Jesus, because, you know, to say that he had this big thing to save the world, not a big thing, but he had the big thing to save the world. But yeah, he was born in a manger. Like he was born as a baby, you know, like even just thinking about that aspect of how much time it took for him to even, you know, feel the calling of it. Yeah.
Beautiful. So why didn't God just zap him down here as a full adult?
You would have thought he would have did it.
You would have thought that. He'd have come in on a horse, right? Right?
Yeah.
And so 18 years, we don't know nothing about him.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing about him. Yeah. And then at 30, he comes on the scene, and bam, he's doing it. So
it took you how long before your ministry blew off?
Years. Come on, Carl. Ask the question.
How many? Because when you said that, a lot of times people think that they are overnight successes, right? And it took you how long before your ministry kind of just...
Listen, we were past the decade before we started growing.
Yeah.
Okay, we could have been anywhere between 12 and 15 years before we even started growing.
Wow.
Now, some of that, I'll be honest with you because I want to discourage some of our ministers. Some of that was my ignorance.
Okay.
I didn't go to Bible school. Mm-hmm. I didn't have experience. Mm-hmm. I wasn't under a mentor. You know, my father in the faith, Dr. Price was in California. I'm in Birmingham, so I didn't have anybody pour into me like that. I did from him, from watching TV and listening to his sermons and stuff like that. So some of it had to do with my deficiencies.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and go back to your question, you say you struggle with that timing thing, and as you get older, I think one of the things that's so important, Tiffany, is what should I be doing now?
Yeah.
Okay, if I've taken the time, I sense this purpose on my life, I sense this call on my life.
Yeah.
Well, the now has to do with preparation, everything, and see. Some things we're not ready for it.
Yeah.
We want it, but we're not ready.
Could you handle because you just finished your ministry, 42 years. Could you handle where you were at the end and the beginning?
Can I what now?
Could you have handled where you were at after 42 years at the end? Could you have handled that in the beginning?
No. Listen, okay, let's reiterate the question.
Okay.
You asked me the success and the growth and everything that we enjoyed.
Right.
You know, in the mature years, could I have handled that in the
beginning?
In the beginning, why? Absolutely not, because I was worried when we didn't have anybody coming. Think about it. Listen, think about it.
Right.
I was worried. I worried so much that my stomach would hurt me every day. By 12 o'clock, then it stopped hurting. It was stress. I was worried. I was worried about people not coming. I was worried about, I didn't know what I was doing. I was worried about this. Pete, my wife and I were struggling a little bit in our marriage because we were young. We were trying to learn how to live together. I worried about everything.
Yeah.
Listen, it would have been a disfavor for God to put thousands of people under me, because with those people and their growth come problems.
Yeah.
You know, a big church, you always got something going on. It's always something, always some conflict situation, some problem. I can handle that.
Yeah.
And you take that scenario, you can put it in any area. Are you ready for what you want?
Yeah.
Are you ready for what you're dreaming? Other words, what season are you in?
Yeah.
So I ask our viewers, are you ready for what you desire? Are you ready for the vision? Are you ready for the purpose? Are you ready for God's plan? Are you really ready? Yeah, I know you know it. Okay, I know you done took the time to know it, but are you ready? And then I would say to anybody, what season are you in? Okay,
That's
what
good.
season are you in? For example, take a crop. I'm not a farmer, but I understand basic. So you put a seed in the ground, and what happens?
It grows.
It grows.
Sprouts out.
Okay, so you put a seed in the ground, apple seed in the ground. You don't walk out and just pick apples. There's a growth period.
Yeah.
Okay, the tree has to be prepared to produce fruit.
Yeah.
That's true in any area.
Right.
Let's say you're single, and let's say you want to get married. Okay. If you're not married, then that means you're not in marriage season.
Right.
Okay. So that means you're in a preparation season.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to prepare yourself for marriage? Whether you be a guy, whether you be a lady. You know, if I was a guy, then I would be building up my equity. I would be developing a career. I would be getting myself. I would be saving money. I would be preparing, because you want to prepare for your family coming in. If you were a single lady, okay, how can you prepare for marriage? Because it's going to shift. It's going to be a partnership. I would read books on marriage. I would prepare myself. I would develop skills. Like, if you're going to marry me, you got to be able to cook. Not because I'm domineering and demanding.
Right, because you just don't know how.
I don't know how. Because somebody got, you know, and I'm not saying the woman has to be the one cooking. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying somebody got to.
Right.
Okay.
I would speak to the fact of, because now this just for me. I don't know how every single is, but I do think a lot of it has to do with the fear of the unknown and not being able to be in control of the outcome.
Oh, Wow. Will you please say that again? Like they said for the people in the back?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fear of the unknown and not being in control of the outcome. And I think from the conversations that I've had with other singles, it's the fear of, because God didn't guarantee us that we would be married. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think he puts desires in our heart, but it ain't like he guaranteed us to have that. So I think you have that fear of the unknown and not being able to control what the outcome will look like. Does that make sense?
Well, I have a different take on that.
Okay, what's your take on that?
Okay. My take on it is that if you desire to be married, God desires it. Mm-hmm. If you don't desire to be married, God doesn't desire it. Mm. I think and so that's why I don't believe marriage is better than being single.
Gotcha.
I think it depends on what you desire.
What you believe. Yeah.
Okay. For example, if you desire to be married, 1 Corinthians 7, first few verses in the 7th chapter says, let every woman have her own husband. Yeah. Let every man have his own wife. Mm-hmm. That's right there telling me that if I want one, I can have one because God says it. Mm-hmm. And then he said he'll give you the desires of your heart. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that's a preference. It's a personal thing. Mm-hmm. Some people don't want to be married, and it's all right. Yeah. Marriage does not make you whole. Mm-hmm. You know, we're complete in Jesus. Yeah. You know, personally, I would always want to be married. Yeah. I mean, personally, I like the teaming part of it. I like the partnership part of it. Yeah. And so I think that has to do with your personal desire. Let's go back to what you said about control and we can't see the outcome and all that. You know, first, the control area is the difference between believers and unbelievers. Mm-hmm. When you establish a relationship with Christ, you get born again, you're giving God the right to direct your life. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So from that point on, you're always submitting. You can desire things, but you're submitting those things to him because he's your director now. We call him Lord. Right. He's your director now, okay? Well, in the world, Jesus is not Lord, so I do whatever I want to do. Right. You know, but once you get in the kingdom, you're born again, okay? So now the control thing and the trust thing is really connected to the relationship of you and God. Yeah. Having a relationship with God, because God is a person and he's real and you can know him. Right. He wants to be known. Right. And the closer you get to God, the more trusting you become. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's the issue of trust has to do with the issue of closeness and knowing him, knowing his character, knowing his love, knowing his intentionality. So if as I get closer to God, I know that he wants what's best for me. Yeah. Now, you know, people at different levels spiritually, but that's what walking by faith is. Yeah. It's trusting. It's believing. I know the thoughts that I have for you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. He said, my plans for you, that's what God says in Jeremiah 29:11. My plans for you is good. Yeah. Not harm, to give you a hope and a future. It's going to be exciting, God says. It's going to be good, God says. It's going to be a blessing, God says. Yeah. I think when we're struggling with the trust thing, we have to push in to develop our relationship with him. Not about him giving, just knowing him. I want to know you. Reading the word, asking the Holy Spirit to teach you about the Father and teach you about God. And as you draw nigh to him, the Bible says, draw nigh to you. So some things are connected to my relationship.
So, I said that this is one of the things that I've been studying. So one of the things that I have learned is that, or that I, been listening to and being reminded lately, and I can relate this into my personal life, but the Bible says we walk by faith.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we be trying to run by faith.
Right.
And it's just a walk.
Wow.
Right. And so for me,
a lot of times we're not walking, we're trying to run.
And so when I think of it like in my personal life, like I recently picked up running, right? Mm-hmm. So when I first tried to run, I tried to do 7 miles. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm not going to do this. So I started walking and then running. But what a lot of people don't understand, it's in that slow jog or that slow walk, that slow place is where you build the endurance. Mm-hmm. And so for me, one of the things that I have to remember and what I'm learning is to not try to run by faith, but to walk by faith.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think if we talk a little bit about patience, mm-hmm. okay, and faithfulness.
Yeah.
You talked about timing was a big issue with you. Mm-hmm. Patience is a big issue with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In what way?
Because I got all this stuff. See, I keep a calendar, mm-hmm. and I got all these things that God has spoken to me. Mm-hmm. And unlike many people, mm-hmm. I don't think because I've done 40-some years and something, mm-hmm. I'm at the end. Mm-hmm. I actually believe that I'm at the beginning. Yeah. I believe that the 40-some years that I passed was to prepare me for now. I really believe that. Honest God truth. I'm not just saying it because I'm in front of the camera. Yeah. I really, really believe that
that's good.
That God was preparing me for now. What I have to keep reminding myself, yeah. And sometimes I encourage people to keep a journal. Mm-hmm. Journal does several things for you. In other words, I journal what God has said to me. Mm-hmm. Time, date, and all that. Everything he says. I used to journal events. I stopped doing it. Mm. When you journal what God says and even journal highlight points in your life, what it does for you, it gives you a track record. Yeah. You can look back and see his faithfulness mm-hmm. of things that he's done. Mm-hmm. So I have to keep going to my journal, and I can see things.
Evidence of it.
I can see things mm-hmm. that he said that mm-hmm. he's done. Yeah. Okay, that helps me. Yeah. But I have to also remind myself that life is seasonal. Mm. Okay, life is seasonal. So Ecclesiastes says to everything there's a purpose and a season mm-hmm. or a time right. to every purpose. So even though I have this purpose, I have to remind myself it's seasonal. Yeah. Okay, that helps me with patience. It's seasonal. It's seasonal. And I don't want to get ahead of him, because if I get ahead of him, then I can end up doing something in the wrong season.
So what are the practical things? Because when you think about patience, it's a long game, right? Patience is a long game. So how did you, because I remember you talked previously how you be ready to quit God. Mm-hmm. Was it the evidence that you saw, or what did you do to develop the long game of patience?
Okay. The long game, yeah. Most people think of patience as the long game. They think of patience as waiting. Mm-hmm. That's one side of patience. Gotcha. Okay. The other side of patience is consistency.
Got it.
Constancy. Mm-hmm. Doing the same thing, doing the mm-hmm. same thing, doing the same thing, doing the same thing. Good. And so for me, I simplified it because there were times when I get really impatient. Mm-hmm. When you get really impatient, you open the door to discouragement. Mm-hmm. And discouragement was my big battle. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I want it to happen now. I want it to happen now. I shift, then I go back. Okay, I shift, I go back. What season are we in now, Tiffany?
It's summer.
Okay. What will be the next season?
Fall.
Okay. What will be the next season?
The winter.
And then what will be the next season?
Spring.
And then back to?
Summer.
Okay. Can you rush it?
Nope.
Let's say you like winter.
Mm-hmm. Now climate control, we're trying to rush it, but no.
Yeah, but you like winter.
Yeah.
Let's say you like winter. You like the coats and the gloves and the boots.
Yeah.
You like winter. That's your favorite season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you rush it?
I mean, you can wear the clothes, you're just going to look crazy.
Okay, not only you going to look crazy, you could die with those fur coats. You could die with the fur coats on. You go out there and it's 90, 95, 100 degrees and you got on your fur coat and your boots and your scarf and your hats and stuff. You will literally die.
Right.
From a heat stroke.
Yeah.
You can't rush it. So you have to understand that, but you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can enjoy summer.
Yeah.
Because summer brings benefits that winter doesn't bring.
Yeah.
You're not going to the beach in the summer. In the winter.
In the winter. Yeah. That's true.
So that's the way life is. You can't rush it. Mm-hmm. You really can't rush it, but you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you can trust that God is involved with the season. So for me, it took me a while to get it. So I don't want people to think I just had all this done. No, I struggled with discouragement. I cried. I wanted to quit. Okay. And a lot of that had to do with my immaturity. But one thing I got is preach another sermon.
Consistency. Keep doing it.
Okay, just preach another sermon.
Yeah.
And do it the best, okay? Pray your best.
Yeah.
Prepare your best. Give it your best. So if it's 5 people, if it's 10 people, if it's 20 people, if nobody show up, it's going to be the same message.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same message. It's not going to be one message for the 1,000 and another message for the 10. It's going to be the same message.
Yeah.
So if you learn consistency, that's what patience is. It's not just waiting. It's being consistent on the journey.
Yeah.
You're going to be consistent on the journey and eventually you'll end up where you need to go.
You've given us a lot of points, and we be talking so much like we just having a regular conversation. Time flies by. But it's been so many points I feel that people can grab for this. But for our listeners, what would be something to help them to stay encouraged and trusting in God's plan?
Okay. I would say the key, some keys, closure, and this is a review.
Okay.
In terms of getting God's plan, acknowledge Him.
Right.
That's Proverbs 3:5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. You begin that with acknowledge Him. You spend time to get His mind. Okay, get His mind. And then I would say, walking out the plan, position.
Yeah.
What's the environment that I need to be in that's conducive to what I feel I'm called to do?
Yeah.
If you're an athlete, a high schooler, you're going to college, you're a great athlete, what college can develop me best?
Yeah.
What college can get me to the NFL? That's where I'm going.
Right.
Okay? So environment, be around people who are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Exposure, that's a mentor. That's somebody that been where you're going. Somebody can speak into your life.
Right.
And then you got to practice and then understand that it's time.
Right.
Now, I'm going to share this. I'll share this with you. I didn't mention this, but I think I got enough time to talk about this. To discern God's timing.
Yeah.
That is now. It's now. A rhema word. That's a word when God speaks to you now.
Right.
He speaks to your now. Okay. You got that rhema word, that specific word from God to move out, to move out, to move out, to move out. And then peace.
Yeah.
You got peace on the inside of you.
Yeah.
You got the peace of God. And then opportunity. Whenever God tells you and he wants you to move, he going to create the opportunity.
That's good.
And then productivity. You have to always measure it by productivity. If it's now, and you're not in the prep season, but it's now, you're going to be productive.
Yeah.
It may not be a mother load at first, but you're going to see some results. You're going to see some fruit. You're going to see some fruit.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I enjoyed you, Tiffany.
I enjoyed this conversation.
I enjoyed you. Did you all enjoy it? Please let us know you're enjoying our discussion. I got my beautiful daughter here. She's so smart. I am actually in this zone because of her. She just kept pushing me and pushing me. Is there somebody pushing you to do something? God sometimes speak to other people. So let us know. Contact us. Let us know whether you're enjoying this platform. Here again, we're going to have discussions. We got some other things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put in some interviews. And then I'm going to do some one-on-one stuff with you.
I think it's going to be good. You know, we've been hearing your teaching for so long, but here I felt like the reason why I was trying to push you is because I felt like you've given practical things, but just for people to just have a conversation with you, just to hear your heart when it comes to certain topics. So
wow, that's what you were thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I'm enjoying it, Tiffany.
Good.
And I pray that you're enjoying it too. Listen, I trust that you are being blessed by these episodes. This is How to Win. I'm Mike Moore. This is my daughter, Tiffany. She's the director over this podcast. And we have discussed purpose. We discussed trusting God's plan for your life. We've discussed timing, and we're going to discuss something else in our next episode. Listen, I pray that you have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye.
Are you ready to break free from the chains of anxiety, stress, and depression? Mike Moore, author and founding pastor of Faith Chapel and host of the How to Win podcast, is here with his new book, Help, My Mind is Under Attack. Learn how to overcome attacks on your mind and live an emotionally healthy life. Grab your copy now. Available as ebook on Amazon and paperback on MikeMoore.com. Embark on your journey to complete mental health and emotional peace.